Hello, welcome to the channel. DC Comics has hired Activision Blizzard and New Jersey Devils executive Daniel Cherry as general manager. I don't know whether this is good news or bad news. I'm really quite undecided. So I'm making this video more to speculate and open a forum, I guess. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear whether you think this is good or bad. And I'm not... New Jersey Devils? No idea. I don't know what that is. Your guess is as good as... Well, you know, I don't. But my point is more from the Activision and Blizzard perspective. Like, that's notoriously China-centric and censorship-focused and, well, subversive, I guess, to a degree. So, you know, is it good from that perspective? Is he part of that? Who knows? This is all very PR spin, everything that we're going to talk about today anyway. So we'll dive into it. Before we do, guys... Just a quick update on my film. I've seen the first edit. So we spent 2 hours on a Zoom call with the editor. We spoke about the edit. We spoke about changes and adjustments. 5 pages of notes were taken. And it's all going actually really, really well. So Blackfields is coming together really nicely. And as that is in the edit bay and as it is going through its post-production work, which does take a little while, so bear with me, I am making another film. And I'm doing that. It's on a shoot, I believe we've settled on November as shooting dates, and it's a Lovecraft film. If you want to check it out, there's a GoFundMe link down below. Check it out if you want. But anyway, let's dive into this, shall we? So, obviously DC's been in massive trouble. They've laid lots of people off. It seems to be the course for comics in general, which is a massive shame. I don't think anyone's applauding that. No one wants comic companies that are storied. They're legacy, aren't they? These comic companies are legacy figures. I don't want them to go under. I want them to stay strong. I want them to be here. So it's a shame, but there's a lot of issues with DC and comics in general. So after a recent storm of layoffs across Warner Media, as part of the company's wide restructuring, the company has now appointed Daniel Cherry as the new overseer of DC's operations. Now, he was influential in a lot of the esports for Activision and Blizzard, but then obviously some of that has come under fire due to their sort of random, like, blacklisting of people that were supporting democratic protesting and things like this. It's not a good look. It's really not a good look. But we don't know how influential this chap is in part of that, right? Now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the former Chief Marketing Officer of Activision Blizzard Esports and Chief Marketing and Innovation Officer for the New Jersey Devils NHL team has been named Senior VP and General Manager of DC Entertainment. Now, from what I can tell, it looks like it's a new position. So THR notes that this is a newly created position that will have Cherry head up business, affairs, editorial, talent services, marketing, sales, brand, and direct-to-consumer for DC. That's really broad, isn't it? That's a lot to do. Like an awful lot. Now, it continues on and says that Cherry will also oversee business development with current Senior VP of Business Strategy, Finance and Administration, and DePies, and will, to Global Brands Experience President of Warner Bros. Pam Lifford. So he's doing a lot. It sounds primarily... It's a business growth position. It's how can we get out of the hole that we're in. And as he was so good for Activision and Blizzard in that regard, it sounds like he's the right man for the job. And I think that there's some positivity there for sure. Now, it's truly a career honour to partner with Pam Lifford and the creative genius of Jim Lee, the amazing team at DC Comics and Warner Media, to lead this iconic brand and legendary characters into the future. And this is Cherry's statement, by the way. But who is he to with comics? I mean, he's like, and you don't have to be. But I think that shines a spotlight on how it's primarily just a, hey, look, this is just business. We're just hiring him for business. Now it continues further. It says that he's been a huge fan since he first discovered the joy of comics from my father, who collected Shazam oversized comics from the 1970s. Cherry also shared his excitement at how I am standing on the shoulders of giants like Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson, Bill Finger, Bob Kane, Neil Adams, Harry Lampert, and so many others. He's especially proud to be continuing the legacy of fellow Ohioan and Cleveland native Jerry Seifel, who created Superman. His statement continues that shares the belief that while always respecting the past, I also think it's our responsibility to leverage the cultural power of the DC Comics to entertain and inspire an increasingly diverse global fan base. Comics have the power to create unique imagery and narratives that can move the world toward a better, more inclusive version of itself. I hope this is just PR spin, because that's just trash. It's just trash talk. It really is. Any form of media definitely does have the power to do that. But that sounds like you're just going down just the nonsense trend of catering to the minority of your audience, and you're just going to distance the majority. Why? Why do that? It never makes any sense to me. It's so strange. And to move the world toward a better, more inclusive version of itself. The world's very inclusive. By definition, the world is an inclusive place. It has everyone on it. Yeah, God. Anyway, whatever. It's my sincere hope that I'm able to contribute and help evolve the brand and its relevance for generations to come. Now, again, given the current state of affairs with sort of intersectionality and Marxism and all these kind of nonsense things coming to prevalence, this kind of rhetoric does concern me. It is unfortunate, and it can be deemed, if so is pushed into media like a comic, a form of subversion anyway. I hope that isn't the case, and I hope it doesn't happen. I really hope that DC as a brand stays true to its core, whilst, yeah, sure, adding more black and ethnic minority characters. Who cares? Like, I don't care about that. That's fine. But at least stay true to your core. Let's not turn Lex Luthor into a Trump character or stuff like this, right? Like, Lex Luthor, if you didn't know, famously hated Superman because Superman burnt his hair off. That's what started the beef. Do you know what I mean? Like, all this kind of stuff. Like, let's not turn into like Orange Man bad and all this kind of nonsense. People turn from comics, to get away from politics and things like that. You can have shades of it. And a comic book which is famous for flipping current day, well, they were better at it in the past anyway, they're not so good at it now, but flipping current day events on their head and poking fun at them was 2000 AD in Judge Dredd, right? It was satire on current events. They famously did one about Tom Cruise's marriage breaking down. They did a block war where the blocks are actually named each party in the divorce, which is just crazy. But that's a fun way of looking at it. That's a good way of tackling current day affairs. If you're going to be looking at it from the prism of, well, we need to lecture you, we need to tell you which direction to actually think, then that's where I think it gets people's backs up anyway. But that's just my hope, and I'm not saying that is the case. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, hey, look, I hope it doesn't, because I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say that. Who wants that? Cherry's hiring will allow for Chief Creative Officer and Publisher Jim Lee to take an expanded responsibility surrounding the overall DC brand, which is good. Jim Lee's great. Lee will bring his unmatched creativity, passion, and innate knowledge of the DC characters and canon to the company's efforts to evolve the brand and create relevance for new audiences around the world, said DC. Now, as a recent reorganisation led to the removal of several long-serving editorial executives and a third of the editorial staff, Lee, Cherry, and the interim replacements for the ousted Bob Harras, Marie Javins, and Michelle Wells are set to make up the new editorial leadership of DC. So he's part of the editorial team. That's weird. Previously, Cherry's roles involved expanding the scope of esports for Activision Blizzard, which Cherry stated was a 1.2 billion business in 2020, which is great. So hopefully he'll be good, but whatever, let's just see how it goes. What do you think of this? Good news or bad news? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, do hit subscribe, guys, and make sure you turn the bell notifications on to all if you're an existing subscriber. A lot of people haven't had notifications for weeks, so just check you're subscribed, because YouTube is just a sandbox in the channel, and it's a bit of a shame, really. It's just doing weird things recently. So yeah, check it out, check you're subscribed, all that good stuff. Let me know your thoughts down below. I've missed age. Take care.